Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Sermon on the Mount Missionary Baptist Church Sunday School. The 16th day of April, year 2023. So our lesson this morning comes from Luke 24:36 through the 53rd verse. And our golden text this morning is Luke 24:44. And that reads, "And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the psalm concerning me." So we can see here that Christ has continued to give his disciples admonitions and continue insight into things that's going to happen to him. So here we're talking about all the things that was told to them, and he was telling the disciples in order to relieve some of their skepticism, in order to relieve some of their doubtfulness, that they have to understand and believe in the Word. And as we talk about, it's important for us to realize there's a lot of promises God has made to us, but we have to believe and understand that when God make them, they are true and they will come to pass. As it says in Luke 24, verse 49, "And behold, I send the promise of my Father upon you. But tarry ye in the city of Jerusalem until ye be endued with power from on high." And so there the disciples have the direct instructions to go to Jerusalem and wait until you get the power. And so that was one thing that was important for them to do after the resurrection. But we know it took them a while because they had to get over, first of all, the shock of the resurrection and the shock of their disobedience to God's word, because he told them to go there in the beginning. All right, so we're talking about proof of the resurrection is our lesson title this morning. I can't hear me. There you go. I can hear me now. Proof of the resurrection. And like I said, that was one thing that we try not to have is skepticism. We try not to have areas of doubt. But if you remember, at the morning of the resurrection, the disciples had doubt, because they didn't believe the women when they came back and told them that, Christ wasn't in the tomb, So if we have our little areas of doubt and little times of skepticism, then just feel like you're in the same place where the disciples was, because it's quite a lot to take upon yourself, But in the case of the disciples, it was everything's happening on that day. This is a rapid-paced day. The things are going fast. And so it says on page 36, it says, "Keep in mind that all the things that happened, it was still the same day Jesus had risen. They had not anticipated the event of the past few days." See, he had told him he was going to lose his life. He had told him that he would be taken over by the scribes and Pharisees and put to death. But yet now, they hadn't anticipated it happen, And so starting at that night in the Garden of Gethsemane, when things started happening, they weren't ready for it in a consciousness, in a conception of what things were going to happen. It says they had not anticipated the events of the past few days, but this was not because the Lord had not given them ample warning. For whatever reason, the disciples were unable or unwilling to process the information that Christ has risen concerning both his death and his resurrection. Consequently, they thought they were seeing a ghost when he appeared amongst them, a mistake they had made on another occasion. So, they weren't ready for that, So that's like, I know one time, unfortunately, I was at the doctor, and the doctor was giving out some bad information, and so you don't want to accept that when the doctor say you have this, or this is apparent, or, just bad report. So the disciples didn't want to accept it. It wasn't this is our Jesus. This is the Holy One. This is the Messiah. He can't go anywhere. We've been waiting on him for all these years, and he come to rescue us and redeem us, So we're not entertaining the idea that you're going to die, because you're the Son of God. You're the Messiah, the one we've been waiting on. So you can understand how that would not get into the disciples' psyche. They could not even understand it. See, but Christ had given them information on it, but still it didn't ring true. That's just like sometimes people tell you something that happened at work, and you don't believe it until you actually see it. And we got our own little group of people. If this group didn't tell it to me, I know it ain't happening. Yeah. But just the experience of being around the Messiah and Jesus at that time was challenging enough. Here comes something altogether new that you had no idea about. Nobody to tell you anything about what this man is teaching, what he's doing, all these signs and wonders that he's going on, healing the sick and cleansing the lepers. So this is all mind-boggling, especially when you have to understand all they did was caught fish. Throw the net in there, bring the net out. Throw the net in, bring the net out. Now you're dealing with all these other scenarios, and you just can't understand it. Especially, with humans, somebody say, hey man, I'm, 6 weeks I'm out of here. I'm not going to be around anymore. You don't put, should we say faith, but you don't really think about that idea of death in that term.